Welcome to the Diabetes Tour Guide. I am your host, Andy. I have worked as a physician assistant in the integrative health space for over 4 years, and I have lived with type 1 diabetes for over 19 years. So I know that diabetes, just like medicine, is not one size fits all. There are many nuances to uncover and master along our tour. So let's get started. Today, we are going to stop and discuss insulin. Insulin, it's the main attraction of diabetes. Insulin is the molecule involved actually in the pathogenesis of diabetes, or really what makes diabetes diabetes. Whether there is too much insulin or too little. But what exactly is insulin? Definition. Insulin is a hormone. Hormones are very important in the body, and they deal with the endocrine system, but we need to know that insulin is a hormone. A hormone is a chemical substance within the endocrine system of the body that serves to carry signals to target organs that result in physiological change in order to maintain homeostasis. Okay, that's complicated. So let's break that down a little bit. Basically, hormones act like a key that goes around the body to find matching locks. Imagine all these little keys flying around like Harry Potter in the second Harry Potter, not the, Chamber of Secrets. All those flying keys that are looking for the right lock to unlock. So when a key fits a lock, it turns and opens the door. So when a hormone finds its intended target, imagine those flying keys, on the surface of a molecule or organ, an intended change is made within the body that provides a purpose or a service to kind of maintain homeostasis, which is kind of the body functioning properly. It's almost like a seesaw. So imagine this big, huge seesaw in the body with all these little locks and keys going around. So let's refer to the diagram of the day behind me. Here we'll see, this is what insulin looks like. You'll see that there's a cell on the body, in the body. They call this a body cell, but cells basically just look like this round membrane. And you'll see that there's a lock that fits into the receptor. That's where the actual keyhole is, and it turns. So when it turns, you'll see that glucose, this is the things on the outside of the cell, are able to enter into the cell. That is exactly what the intended receptor or the intended change for the body is with insulin. Its target is glucose. So glucose is in the blood. Insulin comes in like a key into the lock, unlocks the cell, glucose gets out of the blood and into the cell. That is the intended purpose, glucose management. But where exactly does insulin come from? So insulin, this little hormone, is made from the beta cells of the pancreas. A pancreas is this fish-shaped organ located right in the middle of the abdomen. It's very centrally located, not only because it has easy access for distribution, but also because it is integrally related to the gut. So insulin really responds with food, sometimes even the thought of food, because when food enters the gut and carbohydrates are turned into glucose, insulin is then stimulated into action to get glucose, remember, out of the blood into the cell. So insulin, when released from the pancreas, which will be a different stop along the tour guide where we'll talk a lot about the pancreas, has primary target receptors on the liver, on skeletal muscle, which is just muscle, and adipose or fatty tissues. So when insulin lands and fits in this specific receptor or lock, it opens the door to allow glucose to get from the blood into all these target organs to support the organs. This allows the organs to uptake, ingest, utilize glucose, while the blood does not get too much glucose or have accumulation of glucose. So this is where homeostasis, or that seesaw, is balanced. So insulin, it does target glucose, but it also has some other mechanisms and other secondary targets that are involved. different purposes within the body. These include lipid or fat storage. This includes glycogen or stored glucose metabolism, and protein synthesis or protein creation, as well as gene transcription, which is code writing for the body. The real important ones to know is that glucose out of the blood into the cell, protein creation, and then fat storage. So it deals with the big three: sugar, fat, protein. So let's refer to another diagram to kind of describe these contexts as well. You'll see pancreas is kind of on that upper corner. It's going to make insulin from beta cells, which then have these three primary mechanisms. Lipolysis, so it deals with fats. Remember, lipid is fat. Glucose production. Glycogen is a storage, which then turns into glucose. That's all done within the liver. And then 2, glucose uptake into the muscles, where we do have protein creation or synthesis. So it's important to know that when you're dealing with insulin, you're really dealing with a lot of things. But I want to simplify it down to say insulin, primary target glucose, and it's a lock and key. So master our key takeaways for today. Insulin is what? It's a hormone. It's made in the pancreas. Insulin primarily works in a lock and key mechanism. Remember, it turns for glucose uptake, and it also works for fat storage and protein synthesis. So the takeaway is that insulin, though very small, is also very mighty within the body, and it can become your greatest asset and also your greatest enemy. So next week, I want you to join me as we continue our tour of diabetes and discover what happens when insulin becomes deficient. I want to engage with you as we go along these tours, this tour of diabetes, because a tour guide doesn't just talk at you, it talks with you. So 2, in the comment sections, I just want you to write any questions that you have about this episode, anything else that you want to know about insulin. Right now, insulin is a very hot topic. Everybody says they have insulin resistance, which will be another episode of ours too. So insulin's important. Any questions you have, any comments you have, anything that you want to see on this tour, you let me know. I'll put it on the buzzer, all right? So comment below and join us next week as we continue the Diabetes Tour Guide.